All right, Stephen, Red Hat Summit is also happening this week, and there's been a lot of news around it because there's two big things that are coming out of it. The first one is kind of related to AI, and it's InstructLab, which is an open source project aimed at improving LLM outputs. Not to be outdone by that, we now have Red Hat Enterprise Linux AI, which is a platform specifically designed to run IBM Granite LLMs. Now, a lot of people have been watching the space because they know that IBM, kind of being the parent company of Red Hat, has a vested interest in how Red Hat can be leveraged as a platform to sell more cloud offerings, but also to help improve the AI fortunes of Big Blue. Does the outlook for what's going on with IBM and Red Hat lead to more of an AI dominance in that space, or are we just kind of hoping to play catch up with the people that are already out there making all of the money?
Well, I think that to echo the sentiment that I'm hearing from the Red Hat CTO, Chris Wright, I think that this is doing AI the Red Hat way. Up until now, there's been a lot of focus on developing huge proprietary LLMs and how important those LLMs are. Now, the priority and the focus is shifting toward making practical use of these things. And that's what Red Hat is doing. And that's what makes what this whole announcement and all the news that I'm hearing makes so much sense. So, a big shout out to my colleague, Paul Nashawati, who is there. He's been relaying some of this information to me. And I really think that what I'm hearing from Red Hat is AI the Red Hat way. In other words, they're taking all of this work that's being done across the entire ecosystem, the entire AI ecosystem and open source ecosystem, and they're bringing it together and packaging it up nicely for enterprise users to leverage. So, a couple of things that I really want to zoom in on. First off, as you mentioned, we have the Red Hat InstructLab. Now, this is an open source project, an open source development released under the Apache license by IBM Research and Red Hat. And it essentially takes those IBM LLMs and allows you to fine tune them using knowledge and skills taxonomy and synthetic data that they've developed. In other words, this really is something of a lab. If you imagine, taking, this big vat of chemicals and mixing and mixing and mixing and coming out with your own special sauce, your own special LLM, that's what InstructLab is all about. Essentially, you can get in there, you can work with the pre-trained Granite models, you can work with this data, you can work with all of the other stuff that they're bringing to bear, and you can come out with a very useful fine-tuned model that doesn't require a data center full of GPUs and a PhD to build. Makes a lot of sense. The other thing you mentioned is the fact that these Granite models are also being made available as basically RHEL AI. There again, it makes a lot of sense for customers to approach AI in this way. Rather than trying to develop their own models, how about we leverage the ones that exist and figure out a way to deploy them at edge, core, in the cloud, that sort of thing. They've also got other things in addition to LLMs. There's an image mode. They're extending most of their products with additional AI and ML features. Of course, there's lots of Ansible and AI collisions, and I'm going to be spending some time digging under the hood there because, of course, I'm an Ansible user myself, and so I'm eager to see how they're doing that. I think that overall, as I said, the message from this is that AI is not a monolith. AI is not a single thing. AI is a lot of things, and you have to look at it from the perspective of the application. For most enterprises, that means a hybrid cloud perspective, which means that you've got to be able to run these models in-house against your in-house data. You've got to be able to tune and train these models with your own needs, with your own data set. And you've got to be able to deploy these things in a way that makes sense to you. And I think that that's really what Red Hat is saying here, that it's all about flexibility. You can deploy this in the cloud, you can deploy it on site, you can deploy it in the data center, you can deploy it at the edge. And all of these things can leverage the power of some of these big IBM developed Granite models or other open source models. And I mean, that to me is the right approach to AI. So I'm pretty excited to see what they're doing. I'll be spending a lot more time with Paul and the rest of our colleagues that are there at Red Hat Summit to learn about this. And I know that you'll be hearing about it on our podcasts and at our field day events going forward.